I'm Royce Paul. Welcome to SG Global News. From Tarique Rahman returns after 17 years with a message of peace, a Russian court which has been sentenced opposition activist. We have many stories to cover. Tarique Rahman returns after 17 years with a message of peace. The BNP leaders calls for unity across religions and regions. His addresses come amid rising concerns after Minority Safety Bangladesh now watches whether words will turn into actions. Bangladesh National Party (BNP) acting chairman Tarique Rahman has called for peace and national unity, outlining a vision of an inclusive Bangladesh in the first address to supporters after 17 years. Speaking after his return to Dhaka, Rahman stressed that Bangladesh belongs to all communities, including Muslims, Hindus, Buddhists, and Christians. He urged citizens to reject division and work together to rebuild the nation. His remarks come amid growing concerns over attacks on minorities, particularly Hindu communities. Since the interim government assumed power in August last year, Rahman acknowledged the tensions and said the movements demand collective responsibility. This country belongs to the people of the hills and the plains, Rahman said, adding that the unity across religious and cultural lines is essential for Bangladesh's future. The address is being seen as a significant political movement, signaling Rahman's renewed presence in national politics and as a possible shift towards reconciliation at a time of heightened social strain. Israel has killed a senior Iranian Quds Force commander in Lebanon. The IDF says he directed terror plots against Israel from abroad. Drone footage shows the precision strike in northeast Lebanon. Regional tensions are now set to rise further. Israeli forces have killed a senior commander of Iran's Quds Force in a target strike in northeast Lebanon, marking a significant escalation in Israel's campaign against Iranian-linked operatives operating beyond its borders. In a joint statement, the Israel Defense Forces and the Chain Security Agency confirmed that Hussein Mohammad Marshad al-Jawari was killed in the strike. Israeli officials identified him as a top commander within the operations unit of Iran's Quds Force, the overseas arm of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. According to Israel, al-Jawari played a central role in planning advancing terrorist plots against Israel in recent years, particularly within the Syria-Lebanon arena. A statement said he was senior figure in Unit 840, a covert Quds Force division tasked with directing and coordinating attacks on Israeli targets abroad. The Israeli military released drone footage showing the precision strike, underscoring what officials described as actionable intelligence and a targeted counter operations. Israel has repeatedly warned it will not allow Iran to entrench itself militarily along its northern borders, especially through proxy networks in Lebanon and Syria. Tehran has not yet issued an official response to the reported killing. The strike comes amid heightened regional tensions as Israel continues to confront threats from Iranian-backed groups across multiple fronts. Sheikh Hasina accuses Bangladesh interim rulers of targeting minorities. Her Christmas message warns growing violence and lost freedom. The lynching of Hindu workers had intensified national concerns. Bangladesh now faces mounting pressure over rights and rule of law. Bangladesh deposed Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has accused the country's interim government, led by Muhammad Yunus, of carrying out what she called unspeakable atrocities against religious minorities. In a message issued on Christmas Day, the 78-year-old Awami League leader alleged that controlling authorities, whom she described as having seized power illegally, are undermining religious freedom and allowing violence against non-Muslims to continue unchecked. Hasina pointed to recent incidents targeting minority communities, including the lynching of a 25-year-old Hindu worker in Mymensingh city last week, which she described as a horrific and sign of moral and political collapse. She accused the interim administration of setting dangerous precedents, including attacks that result in the loss of life among religious minorities. The former Prime Minister said that Yunus-led government is interfering with the rights of citizens to freely practice their faith, warning that such actions threaten Bangladesh pluralistic foundations. Since the ouster of Hasina's government in August last year, Hindu communities and other minorities have reported a series of attacks, drawing concerns from rights groups and political observers. Despite the current turmoil, Hasina expressed confidence that the people of Bangladesh would not allow what she called this dark period to persist, urging a return to constitutional order and protection for all communities. The US carried out coordinated airstrikes against Islamic State, linked militants in northern Nigeria on Christmas Day. President Donald Trump framed the action as response to the claims of attacks on Christians energizing his evangelical base. Nigeria confirmed cooperation but rejected claims that violence targets Christians alone. Officials say insecurity is driven by insurgency and criminal violence affecting all religious communities. The US has carried out a series of military strikes in North Nigeria after President Donald Trump accused extremist group of targeting and killing Christians in the region. The strikes, announced on Christmas Day, targeted Islamic State-like militants operating in the Nigerian north. President Trump said the action was aimed at stopping what he described as the killing of innocent Christians, following weeks of criticism of Nigeria's government over its handling of security and religious violence. US defense officials confirmed that strikes were conducted in coordination with Nigeria's government and were approved by Abuja. Nigeria's foreign minister said the cooperation involved intelligence sharing and strategic coordination. Claims of Christian persecution in Nigeria has been amplified for years by a section of US rights and Christian advocacy groups, become a key issue for President Trump's evangelical support base. Earlier this year, the US designated Nigeria a country of particular concern under the International Religious Freedom Act after lobbying for lawmakers and conservative Christian organizations. Nigeria government has maintained the violence in the country affects people of all faiths. The nation is religiously diverse with large Christians and Muslim populations. Officials urge that attacks are driven by insurgency, criminal banditry, land disputes, and kidnapping rather than religion alone. Extremist groups such as Boko Haram and Islamic State West Africa province has waged an insurgency in North Nigeria since 2009, killing tens of thousands and displacing millions. Armed gangs in other regions continue mass kidnappings and raids affecting both Christians and Muslim communities. A major China-Pakistan trade route remains shut in Balochistan. Families are protesting the disappearance of 4 relatives. Talks with local officials have failed to break the deadlock. Protesters say the blockade will continue until awareness and answers come. Pakistan's strategically vital China-Pakistan Economic Corridor Highway remains closed for a second consecutive day as protests intensify in Balochistan over alleged enforced disappearance of 4 family members. According to the Balochistan Post, demonstrators staged a sit-in at Tarique Rahman and Harong in Kashmir Strait, blocking traffic along the CP-Easy route in both directions. The shutdown has disrupted connectivity between Tarbet, Quetta, Pangur, Aran, Kholwa and Hushab, leaving long queues of stranded vehicles. Family members of the missing individuals say a government negotiation team led by the Assistant Commissioner of Tarbet arrived at the protest site on Tuesday. However, talks failed to produce any breakthroughs and blockade continues. Protesters have declared that they will not end the sit-in until all 4 missing individuals are safely returned, underscoring growing anger over alleged enforced disappearance in the region. Balochistan has long been a flashpoint for protests over human rights concerns and activists accusing authorities of targeting civilians amid security operations. The continued closure of the CP-Easy route also raises concerns for trade and infrastructure linked to China's flagship Belt and Road project. For now, tensions remain high as authorities face mounting pressure to resolve the standoff. A Russian court has sentenced opposition activist Sergei Udaltsev to 6 years in prison on terrorism-related charges he denies. Right group says that case reflects Moscow's expanding crackdown on dissent since the invasion of Ukraine. The verdict adds to growing pressure on critics of President Vladimir Putin's and independent political movements. A court in Russia has convicted opposition activist Sergei Udaltsev of justifying terrorism and sentenced him to 6 years in prison. According to reports from ABC News citing Russian independent media, the court delivered the ruling Thursday local time and sent him to a maximum security penal colony. Udaltsev, leader of the left-front movement aligned with Russia's Communist Party, was arrested last year. Mediazona reported that the charges stem from an online article in which he expressed support for another group of activists, later convicted of forming a terrorist organization. According to independent outlets, he rejected the accusation as fabricated and criticized the court's decision as shameful. He announced a hunger strike following the verdict. Authorities intensified prosecutions of critics and civil society members after Russian troops entered Ukraine in 2022. According to independent reports, officials jailed hundreds of people and drove thousands of the country, aimed restrictions on free speech, media and public assembly. Udaltsev was previously imprisoned in 2014 over protests against President Vladimir Putin and released in 2017. In December 2023, he was sentenced to compulsory labor after a rally-related detention in Moscow, according to Russia's state news agency TASS. That's all for today. Until we meet again, God bless and thank you.